All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the private kindergarten information session for the upcoming school year. Looks like we're going to have a pretty small and intimate meeting, so I will let Miss Amanda take it from here, and we will have a bit of time for a question and answer in the end of the session. So feel free to drop those questions into the chat whenever they come up.
Hey everybody, it's me and Tasha. So
Hello.
we're gonna make it painless for you and try to get through it. There's only a few of you on here. We
And
know,
you guys have been here forever.
and there's a handful that we know for sure are doing kindergarten, so we
Mhm.
figured they wouldn't come to this meeting. So we didn't think it was gonna be too giant, but we're glad you're here. Thank you for coming, so we're not just talking to ourselves. So welcome to private kindergarten. So in order to be eligible for private kindergarten at Primrose, your child should be turning 5 by September 1st. We do have a little wiggle room in this area. So there may be a couple of friends that are in our private kindergarten that may have that September. It's usually just a September birthday.
Third.
Yeah, September 3rd or what have you. Because it makes more sense to come to private kindergarten than to repeat pre-K. So kindergarten at Primrose, let's see here. Welcome. All right, so I think we'll just start off. Basically, during this meeting, we're going to talk about the differences between private kindergarten at Primrose, private kindergarten at public school. We'll talk about what the kindergarten program entails because it's a bit different than what you have in private pre-K right now, as far as the curriculum components. We'll talk about our accreditation and how that affects your child going to first grade after they do kindergarten here at Primrose. And we'll also talk about pricing and things like that. So big things, why choose private kindergarten at Primrose over public kindergarten? So there are two big reasons people typically opt in to private kindergarten. One at Primrose, one is convenience because they have a sibling that comes here, their child's used to it. You don't want to go to places in the morning, you're just not ready. The other reason is you don't feel like your child maybe is ready for the big school.
Yes.
Because maybe social emotionally they are more reserved.
Mhm.
It takes them time to warm up a little bit.
Mhm.
And so giving them an extra year at Primrose, being the biggest kids in the school, gives them a little more confidence so that they feel really good when they go to public school.
Mhm.
So those are two of the biggest reasons. We know where we are. We know we're in the best public schools in Fulton, with being in the Fulton County schools area, and the elementary schools that are near us are great. But again, like I said, that convenience factor, and then giving your child that little extra time to develop some more confidence. Those things are factors when it comes to choosing private kindergarten over public kindergarten. I can say personally that both of my children went to private kindergarten. One's in private kindergarten right now, and it's probably the best decision I ever made. I'm not a Fulton County. I don't live in Fulton County. I live in Cherokee County, and our schools are just as great. But when my daughter went from Primrose private kindergarten to first grade, she was well above a lot of the kids in her classroom. She was way above. And I anticipate that to be the same thing for Eleanor, even though she's much different than Sophia, as a human. And I chose private kindergarten for them for very different reasons.
Yeah.
Big things we want to talk about, the differences in school hours and the annual calendar, class sizes, communication, all of that. So school hours, Primrose, obviously, as you guys are all used to, we're open from 6:30 to 6:30 right now. We are going to change that for the new school year, especially for the 7 of you that are on this meeting. None of you come after 6 o'clock to pick your children up. Except for last night, because I closed. There's typically 1 or 2 students here after 6 o'clock. So we felt like it made sense for us to adjust those hours for our teachers that are here just for no reason for 30 minutes. It just made more sense. So effective the first day of school, which is August 5th, our new school hours will be 6:30 to 6. If your child goes to public kindergarten, the hours, depending on what school you go to, The hours for public kindergarten are typically 4:40 to 2:20. So, that is a big difference. We have our price will be one price for that full day. In public kindergarten, you'll go to public kindergarten. If you need aftercare, there will be an additional fee. Either they would come here potentially for the Explorers Club, or they would stay at the elementary school, in their after-school program or what have you. So for some of you, them getting off the school bus at 2:20 would not be an issue for you, because you work from home or you have a grandma or somebody that is able to do that. But I would say probably for the majority of you, that is something that you do have to consider, as far as what your options are. So those are two the school hours are one of the things. The other item we wanted to talk about was the annual calendar. So if your child's zoned for Fulton County, for next school year, they have released the calendar. The calendar shows that they are closed for 34 days next year in Fulton County between August and May. Which means on those 34 days, if your child is in public kindergarten, you would pay either extra for them to come to Primrose to go on field trips and do fun things, or you would have to figure out care at home for them during those teacher work days and school days off and all of that. Obviously, we continue our normal calendar that you all are used to and have been a part of for a long time. Nothing between this school year calendar and next school year calendar will be that different. I'll say we're typically closed for major holidays, as you all are aware. And then one or two teacher work days every year, but we always tell you that way in advance. And then that new this year was the week between Christmas and New Year's that we were closed. A lot of people have been asking us questions about, okay, when will you be closed for this year? Because the dates are a little bit differently set up than it was this current school year. So next school year, and we were trying to find a happy medium of making it something consistent that you all can count on and realize, okay, this is what's going to happen every year. So for the time being, our thought process is that we will be closed on Christmas Eve through New Year's Day. And so that's something that will be consistent, that's easy to say and remember. So that will be the only, and it's not even a change because we did it this year already, so nothing new. But the amount of days that they are closed for public kindergarten versus the amount of days we would be closed for private kindergarten is much different. So just something to consider when you're looking at overall cost for what it costs to come to private kindergarten versus going to public kindergarten, paying the after school fee, paying those day out fees. It adds up and it doesn't really give you a ton of savings versus if you did private kindergarten. So we do have very small class sizes for our private kindergarten. This year, our private kindergarten has 11 students. As most of you know, some of you are in that split classroom, some of you are not. But it will continue to be a split classroom like it is this school year, where Miss Lee will have her private pre-cares for half the class and Miss Sarah would have her private kindergartners for the other half of the class. So the class size will continue to be small. I don't anticipate that changing at all. So a big thing that I think is a change when you go from Primrose to the public school, whether that's in kindergarten or first grade or whatever, pre-K, whatever you decide, is the communication. So you go from knowing everything about your child, they didn't eat the cucumbers, but they ate the ranch, and that they played outside for play ball, that they did this, they did that, to not knowing really anything. You're rarely going to see your child's classroom teacher when you go to public school. It's just the way it's designed. You're going to drop off at carpool in the morning. You're going to pick up either or you're going to ride the bus, and you'll rarely get any information from your teacher. If you're lucky, you'll get an email every week that tells you what they're going to test on that week and what you can expect. Or if you're like me and you get a first year teacher that doesn't know what to do yet, you will get no information at all. And you'll have to ask for information because that's who I am. So it's just super exciting. So that is a big difference between being here at Primrose in our little bubble and then going to the public school. Not as much communication. You'll get little things as far as like events and stuff that are going, but you're not going to get that behavior communication. You're not gonna get a lot of communication about where they are developmentally or
Yeah.
things that they need to work on or anything like that unless you initiate it.
Mhm.
So not a ton of communication. Other things that we continue to do in in private kindergarten, we just did a pre-K meeting, so my brain's like trying to switch over. And we do continue doing the STAR literacy assessment and the ASQ assessment in our private kindergarten classroom. On top of additional testing that they do in the classroom on a regular basis. So there's the spelling test, the sight word test, the math test. They have all, and when I say test, it's not stressful, so don't
No.
hear test and think, oh my
Again, an
God.
assessment.
It's an assessment, but
Mhm.
they're ongoing tools that the
Yep.
teacher's using to kind of measure where they are, to get them to that next step. But the big, like I said, assessments are gonna be those STAR assessments and that ASQ assessment. And it's really not gonna change much from what you know in pre-K to kindergarten. So it's still gonna be that social emotional ASQ assessment, the STAR literacy. Now the score goal,
The benchmark.
yeah, the
Mhm.
benchmark that we are gonna reach is gonna be much different. So at the end of pre-K, the benchmark is 675. At the end of kindergarten, we want the benchmark to be, I think it's 7. I
We
thought I
just
wrote
looked
it
at
in here.
this morning. Sorry.
Clearly didn't write it. It's a 7. I will say,
Right now. I'm
yeah, I
testing
will
them
say,
this-
we're testing them this week. I will say the kindergartners that are currently at the school are,
Already. at
there's
first.
only one
Mhm.
that is not exceeding the end of year goal for kindergarten.
Exactly.
And this is only the second time that we've assessed them. So at the end of kindergarten, we want them to score a 728. Some of your children today scored higher than a
Are already there.
728.
Yes.
So they're ready, and we're just gonna keep pushing them to that next level. So, the benchmark is set high. But the way the Primrose curriculum is set up, they're already pushing your child to that next
Mhm.
level. So I don't anticipate any of them having an issue getting to those benchmarks
At all.
whatsoever. The current kindergarten teacher, we don't anticipate that changing. Miss
No.
Sarah, she's been a Primrose kindergarten teacher for 14, I think not kindergarten, but she's taught kindergarten for 10.
Exactly.
But she's been a Primrose teacher for 14 years.
Mhm.
And hopefully you can feel good about the fact that I wanted Miss Sarah to be my kid's teacher. So this is why I worked hard to get her to come here. So I think she's one of the best. She really pushes them.
Really does.
She does. She's a different personality, but it's a great personality.
Mhm.
She's not as warm and fuzzy but she's a kindergarten
She's
teacher
a
and she wants them to be
mhm.
big kids and she's gonna teach them to be independent and to be confident. And she is licensed in the state of Georgia to teach
Mhm.
Kindergarten through fifth grade.
Mhm.
So she will push them to that next level. They will be well and above ready for first grade when they leave us. So I'm not gonna talk too much about the curriculum per se, because I'm gonna go into details about things that are different. The balanced learning curriculum carries on from pre-K into kindergarten, but there are some things that are a little bit different when we get to kindergarten, that we'll talk about here in a moment. So, private kindergarten at Primrose, it starts on August 5th, 2024. Our Meet the Teacher Night is in late July. The classroom location, I do not anticipate it changing. It should be in that back room where Miss Lee and Miss Sarah share a classroom. We have 2 options for our private kindergarten program. We have the half-day and full-day options, but they both are 5 days. So the 5 half-day option is from 8 to 2:30. The 5 full-day option is from 6:30 to 6. Circle time again starts at 8, just like you're doing now, so that's not a huge change. 8 o'clock is music and then 8:15 is circle, but we ask everyone to get here at 8 so that
They're
we're-
gonna start
we're
right
still-
on time.
in kindergarten, their circle time is a little bit different than pre-K, where they have like a question of the day. They have, and it may change a little bit because we are introducing something a little new.
Mhm.
Which I'll get at in a moment. So here is a sample day in the life of kindergarten. Like I said, it is a split classroom, so if you are in private kindergarten, you will do, the only thing that they do with pre-K is they do music with pre-K. They eat meals with pre-K.
That's it.
And then everything else is very separate.
Yeah.
What?
No, I was gonna say maybe just circle time, because circle
Yeah.
time just consists of the pledge calendar, reviewing the rules, but then they'll split up to do their whole group activities. But as Amanda stated before, the differences with kindergarten and the public school versus private. Again, you know our schedules, like meal times, things you'll notice that are different because I think in elementary schools, they eat lunch.
Yeah, some of
At
them, like
10
my
something.
daughter ate lunch at like 10:45.
Yeah.
In first grade, but still it was very early. So that was a little bit different. The elementary schools are also very strict on the timings that you get there. So if 8 o'clock seems early, you're gonna hate going to kindergarten at
7:20.
public school. So here in Fulton County, schools start at 7:40. Like in Cherokee County, our schools start at 7:30, so we have to be there by 7:25. So there's buses, meaning buses pick you up at 6:45 if you're riding buses to school.
Yes.
So just like things to think about when you think about, again, like I said, convenience with siblings and things like that. You'll have to do it eventually, but it doesn't mean you have to do it right now.
Exactly.
But they are strict on tardinesses and latenesses. You have to have all the documentation, and they put it on your report card and everything. It's very official. You get a text message and an email if you're late. My husband did it one day. He didn't know he was going to get caught. So just know, dads, if you're late, they will send a text to your wife. Anyway, so they are very strict when it comes to that. So a lot of you may be thinking, what happens at the end of kindergarten at like 2:30? So at 2:30-ish, your kindergartner will become an explorer. You are already paying the full day price for kindergarten, so you do not have to pay an additional fee when they become an explorer at 2:30. Just the kindergarten classroom ends at 2:30, and they become an explorer with all their friends who are in public schools that they've been with their whole life that come here for the after school program. So that is the only thing. In pre-K, the day was like the full day. In kindergarten does end at 2:30, and they become explorers at that point too. You think you want to add to that?
Nope, that's perfect.
Again, I don't have to sell you guys on Primrose because you all have been here a long time, but there are two big things that we do that I think set us apart, at least not from public schools because they have to do similar things, but in general, we are Cognia accredited. We're one of the only preschools that's ever been accredited for 25 plus years by Cognia. We just received that certificate in the mail. We're really proud of that. And we just were reaccredited for another 6 years this past month. Verbally, they have to send us the form. We're just making it official. Yes, that took a lot of effort, and we're just glad it's done for 6 years. But we are accredited. Cognia is a national accreditation agency. They accredit high schools, colleges, and select few preschools. Then we also go through, obviously we're licensed through the state of Georgia. They come in and make sure we're doing all the bare minimum things, which we always do. And then Primrose also comes in, and they have their own internal quality assurance program called the SEA. And they come in, and we just actually lived through this last week and finished ours for the year. They come in and look at our business management, our education and professional development, our marketing and communication, campus environment. They're looking at, do we have the right signs posted? Are our teachers implementing the curriculum at the right time in the right manner? They literally sat in the classroom and watch our teachers. Do we have the right equipment? Do we have the right mailbox out front? Are we marketing the school correctly, appropriately? So they look at everything to make sure that we're meeting those high quality standards across the board. We're not just making up things as we go. We have a very strict set of standards that both of these, both Primrose and Cognia give us, that we have to kind of go above and beyond. So,
which is why then by the time you leave, once you leave our kindergarten program, your child is
thank you.
a true first grader. They're gonna get their diploma with that Cognia.
Yeah, so their
seal
diploma
on
will
it.
have the Cognia seal on it, and so when you register them for first grade at the elementary schools, they will automatically be able to go to first grade if they're age eligible.
Yes.
So, and in some cases, if they're not, just depending on where you're going, that's something you have to communicate with the other school. But if they're age eligible, that Cognia seal on that diploma is something you do have to turn in when you register them, so that then you know that you did go through an accredited kindergarten program first. Good point, Tosh. This is the Early Learning Council. This is the panel of experts that will weigh in on how the curriculum content is created, any changes that they put into it. these people have an extensive background in education. They're up on all the latest research. They give us all the tools that we need to make sure teachers have the tools that they need. So I always like to recognize them because they are important pieces of our puzzle. So balanced learning approach, again, I don't have to tell any of you guys on Primrose, but our curriculum's research informed, time tested. Our teachers go through 40+ hours of training every year. Our equipment is purposeful and meaningful. Nothing in our building hasn't been through a safety check. And if you have questions about it, just last week, someone asked us about the turf that we're getting put on the playground because they had read an article in a Yale study that children were getting cancer from turf. So Severe and Arena, they're very thorough. Severe went through and he communicated with Primrose and went through all these things to figure out if it was the same turf issue and what was the article and all of this. And fast forward, all of our turf is very safe, and Primrose already went through all those logistics of safety and things like that. Everything is made here in the US, all of that. So if you want more information about turf, Severe's your guy, because he's done more research about turf in the last 4 days than anyone has. But anyways, anything like that, we have research, we have reasoning behind why things are happening and where they are happening and all of that. So our assessments are personalized and tailored, and you will know where your child is at and how we get them to the next level, that communication with you. And then obviously we try to always stay connected and give you as much detail about things and that you need, and we'll set up meetings and all of that. So this talks about how we differentiate instruction in the classroom, kind of the journey of your child's education here at Primrose, and how they kind of move through that. I won't go too deep because, again, you guys are sold on Primrose.
Yeah, you're going through it now.
So this is one thing I want to focus on a little bit, because this is much different in our kindergarten program than what we have right now in pre-K. So in pre-K, literacy, math, science, all built into our program, and it's really great. But once we hit our kindergarten program, we do build in outside literacy and science and math programs. So I don't have a ton to say about McGraw-Hill Wonder Literacy Program because it's going to be brand new next school year, but I can tell you I'm very excited about it. From what I have learned about it in the last month or so, it builds a lot of foundational reading skills, a lot of phonological awareness, children learning how to learning phonics and how to decode words. How really this program, comparatively to our last program, it really builds confidence when it comes to reading fluency. And that the program we're doing right now is really great, but I'm excited for this because I feel like the instructional methods that they're going to use in this Wonders program is different than what we have now, and I think it will really help with fluency and comprehension. And it focuses a lot on writing, and not just writing like words, but writing meaningful things.
Exactly.
So they're not just writing sight words, writing sentences, writing what they're thinking. So I think this program is going to be really great. And as I get more information, I definitely will share it with you. We'll for sure share a ton of it with you if you are on board with us and we do our Meet the Teacher night, and you'll get to see all the ins and outs of it. But this is new for us, and like I said, I'm really excited about this literacy program. The math program we use in kindergarten is called Big Ideas Math. We've been using this for, I would say, at least the last 5 years.
Yes.
It's a great math program. There's consumables that they do in the classroom, some of which will be like homework that you'll do at home as well. But this is, it's a lot of abstract thinking. My Eleanor, she's a different one. Your second one's always a little bit different. But Sophia was always like, I'm going to know everything. Eleanor just doesn't really do that much. But she feels really confident in her math because of this program. I think Miss Sarah has a big part of that too. But she feels she's adding and subtracting everything, and she's recognizing so many numbers and even bigger numbers. And so there's a lot of that goes into the math program, and you'll get to, honestly, math and literacy are what you're going to see the most at home, because it's a huge focus in kindergarten here at Primrose. So like I said, lots of consumables, lots of things being sent home, number recognition, measuring patterns, algebra, geometry, word problems, like all these things. So,
and the children in the elementary schools are doing the same type of work. These children are being pushed a little bit more because it's a split between Primrose and the additions that they're adding in with the math and the literacy.
Yeah, the
program.
elementary schools use McGraw-Hill products and Big
yep.
Math Learning, all these things. They may be different versions, but they
Yeah.
are using similar products, so. Which is when Primrose looks at these things, they
Mhm.
really look at all factors like that as well. We will continue using our Harmony and Hearts character development program and our Harmony and Hearts music program. I'm gonna plug the Harmony and Hearts music program right now because I think it's amazing. I don't know if any of you know this, but you can stream all the songs that we do here at school. A little cock-a-doodle-doo for you at home that you can stream on iTunes and Spotify. And it's free. And it's great because your children know all the songs and they'll be excited that you have it in the car. So,
And if you ever come in a little bit late already, you hear them in there singing when you walk in the classrooms.
that's why I said the cock-a-doodle song because everyone knows that one. Our parent communication will not change. We'll still have the ProCare app. Our website is getting an uplift over the next month or so. So you'll see a change in that. We still will update our Facebook and Instagram page with all the exciting things that we do. Home learning activities will continue. There'll be more homework related items coming home. So like currently we do sight words at home. Miss Sarah typically tests them on their sight words on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and they have to be able to do the sight words twice without any help before they go to the next list.
And
So
I just
everybody's
want-
at a different pace.
Want to throw in there because right now you guys are accustomed to getting Thursday folder. You get a folder once a week. Once you're in kindergarten, you're gonna get a daily folder. So every day there will be some type of information in there, as Amanda said, for you to do school to home resource, homework that you return the next day and so forth. So a lot of communication once you're in that kindergarten.
Miss Sarah does not overwhelm you though. Right now, she really, like, we've really just been focusing on sight words
words.
because she does so much of it in the room
Mhm.
that she's confident in where they are. That could change. So she could, this new literacy program, I don't want to promise that there's not going to be stuff that gets
Yeah, we
down.
don't.
Because with the new literacy program, it could be a little bit different than what we're doing now. I know for sure, without a doubt, that she's gonna still be doing the sight word list. So
Oh,
that
definitely.
will for sure be a part of your life.
I
So
think they have to have a certain amount of sight words for
yeah,
the first.
for the
grade.
first grade.
Mhm.
I think there's 12 lists. And so most of the kids in kindergarten, yeah, most of the kids in kindergarten right now are on list 5 or 6.
Mhm.
By now. So by the end of the year, they'll have all the lists, and which, I mean, they're already reading a majority of them.
Yes,
I
they
think
are.
there's only one, maybe with
Yes.
the exception of one that's not, but they're right. You guys will be impressed. So we will continue uniforms Monday through Thursday. That does not change for you. Fridays are free expression day. You'll still participate in show and tell. That won't change. So your child will still be excited for that. The one difference between show and tell in pre-K and kindergarten is that in kindergarten, we focus on a different letter every Friday. So when you get to I, don't ask Miss Natasha for any ideas, because she told me to go make an ice sculpture to bring for show and tell. So if you need ideas, she's not the one to
Hey,
go
I
to.
will help you out. She caught me off guard. I was like, ice.
No, so anyways, yeah, don't ask her for help. But that is one of the big differences. My daughter is already looking for her next item. So she knows
Well,
what
for
letter
Jay,
it
she
is.
brought her.
Yeah, for Jay, she brought herself because her name's June. Which was weird. But anyways, so yeah, you get excited for that. That is the difference. Okay, this is what you really wanted to know. So pricing and commitment level. So a little bit different than what we did in pre-K, but full day pricing for kindergarten is $375 a week or $15.80 a month. The half day pricing is $340 a week or $14.30 a month. Just like this year, if you pay monthly, it is more cost effective. Weekly prices are about $5 more a week. If you opt to pay weekly, we're just trying to encourage everyone to pay monthly. Registration form and payment. It does say the 16th on here, but it should say the 23rd.
Yeah.
Because the 12th through the 16th is our pre-registration week, but we are going to extend it by one more week for our in-house families before we open it up to the public. So registration would be by the 23rd. Registration form and payment, like I said, the 23rd. And there is no registration fee for kindergarten. So in kindergarten, we ask that you pay 1 full month of tuition up front to hold your space in the classroom. We do this because we have a licensed and educated teacher that we have to contract to be in this classroom. Every other classroom here at Primrose, obviously we want the most educated person in the classroom, but this person is not licensed in the state of Georgia to be a kindergarten teacher. So if in order to, like I said, if you pay that 1 full month up front, it can be paid in full on March 1st or in 4 equal installments of $395 on the 1st of the month from March through June 1st or through June. So you can do a payment plan to pay that full month up front, or you can pay the full month up front at one time on March 1st. You can indicate that on your registration form when you return it. If you need to think about it longer than the 23rd, the price will increase on February 26th to the external price. So we're asking anyone who wants to do kindergarten, please turn in your registration form by the 23rd so that we can guarantee the price that's listed here. If not, it will go to the external price, and that will be a little bit higher. It'll be higher.
Yeah.
I don't want to say a little. It'll be higher than what the in-house rate is currently. So. Okay, any questions about kindergarten before I talk about Explorers? Because some of you are trying to figure out if you want to do, give them the keys. If you want to do private kindergarten, and you don't really know what the Explorer program is like. So I want to talk about that so you don't have to attend another meeting tomorrow, if that helps. Any questions about kindergarten specifically that you want to ask before I move on to the Explorer portion? Okay, I'll go ahead and jump into Explorer. If someone has a question, stop me. Our Explorer program is an after-school program that typically runs from about 2:30. Well, we go get the children as soon as school's out, but they usually get here like 2:45 until 6 o'clock. Yeah, no later than that. These are the 6 schools that we pick up from: Cogburn Woods, Manning Oaks, Alpharetta Elementary, Crabapple Crossing, Summit Hill, and Birmingham Falls. So if you're zoned for any of those schools, you would be eligible for our after-school program. The Explorers program, the classroom actually takes place in the same place that kindergarten happens. So at 2:30, as you know, Miss Lee's preschool or pre-K classroom combines with Miss Deja's pre-K classroom, and the back classroom turns into Explorers. So all the students that are bused in from those 6 elementary schools, plus our private kindergartners, are in that classroom from that 2:30 to 2:45 timeframe to about 6 o'clock, because like I said, we'll close at 6. This is a sample daily schedule or afternoon schedule. Basically, when we first get there, we try to give them a little time because they've literally been in school all day. We give them some outside time. We work on homework help, and we try to give them a snack almost immediately because they're all starving because they ate lunch at 10:45. So we do try to get them some snack right away. Then they have their free choice zone. There is a curriculum in the Explorers Club classroom. So Miss Mo is the current teacher in that classroom. I'm sure most of you know Miss Mo because she helps a little bit everywhere. She's like our little silent and quiet little ninja. She's a ninja though. She makes stuff happen. So everyone loves Miss Mo. So she is our Explorers Club teacher. She makes it really fun back there. Like I said, we do focus on homework completion. You guys are that's the least of your worries, in my opinion, because kindergartners don't have a ton of homework. It's when those first, second, third graders get back there that that homework really starts trickling in, that we really have to hone in on it. But we do make sure they're outside. They get some outside time. We give them that snack. That's very important. And we do implement a full curriculum in that classroom. Oops, I'll back up. I guess. Well, it doesn't matter. We'll talk about it now. Okay, so in our Explorers program, this is something I didn't touch on in kindergarten, and I should have. One exciting thing about being a Primrose kindergartner is as soon as you become a Primrose kindergartner, you're eligible for field trips. And so private kindergarten goes on their own field trips with just their little class, but they also are eligible to go on some Explorer Club field trips. So there'll be times during the year when Explorers are here. that private kindergarten will also go on the field trips with the explorers. And then there are times that private kindergarten will go on field trips when explorers are at school.
Yep.
So we try to do field trips that are just specific to them, that make them feel special and that are meaningful to what we're doing within the curriculum or what's happening here. But then they go on those fun field trips when all their friends are going from the elementary school too. So they'll have tons of field trips that are very exciting. Private kindergarten does not pay any additional fees for field trips. The Explorers Club do. So here's the Explorer Club pricing. So in order to be in the Explorers Club, if you choose private kindergarten, you don't have to worry about any of this. If you opt to go to public kindergarten and you need to come here for after school, this is where this pricing would kick in. So there's a $200 registration fee for each child. And then there's a $300 family registration fee for 2 or more children. So if you have an explorer and a 2-year-old, then you would just pay the $300 to register. The after school fee is from 2:30 to 6, and that is $750 a month or $180 a week. And then the full days listed on here, you might think like, why the heck is the full day on here? Well, there's 34 days that Fulton County is closed. So there are some tweaks for what we charge for those days. So if it's a teacher work day or a holiday that's like on a Monday, like a one-off in a week, you will still pay your weekly tuition, which is like the 180 or whatever. I'm gonna say weekly just because of that week to make it meaningful. And then you would pay the morning portion of that day, which is the $40 per day in addition to your weekly fee. If it is a day where or a week where school's out the whole week, like spring break, Christmas break, holiday break, I'm sorry, Thanksgiving, where there's no after school that week, then you would pay the daily rate, which is $76 a day. You are only charged these additional fees for full days if your child comes that day. So if for some reason you don't come, then we're not going to charge you for that day. If you sign up, this will be new next year. If you sign up to come for the day, you will be charged for the day. Obviously at some discretion, if there's an emergency or something, we will obviously cater to that. But this will help us. Right now we have too many explorers. I say that nicely. So on these days off, we fill up almost immediately. So on these days that we send permission slips, it may seem weird when you walk in because everyone's panicking that they're not going to get into the field trip that day because we have so many explorers, but we can only take a certain amount of kids on the field trips. So it's it is a little scary some days if you can get in or not. But if you're already in the program as far as private kindergarten and it's a kindergarten field trip, or an explorer kindergarten field trip, you're in. I mean, you're automatically in. Kindergartners are in no matter what.
Yep.
If they're in the private kindergarten program at Primrose, to be clear. So anyways, I know that can be confusing because it's much different than what you guys are used to currently. This information as far as what days will be $40, what days will be $76, there will be a whole calendar that will be given to you right before the school year starts. It will be emailed to you with a belonging waiver and all these stuff. You will get that. So you'll know in advance what days constitute for what price and all of that. I can give you a sample of what we've used this year. If you are really trying to figure it out, we can show you what this year was like, and it will be pretty close probably to next year. I know some things are tweaked, but we can kind of show you what that looks like too. So I know this is a lot of information. Does anyone have any questions? All right, no question. You guys are easy. All right, so if you think of a question or what have you, definitely feel free to reach out. We will be sending out the registration forms today for kindergarten, and if you and we'll send out Explorer forms tomorrow after our Explorers meeting. If you came to today's meeting, you do not need to come to tomorrow's Explorer meeting. You're going to hear the same information. But today we will send out kindergarten registration forms. Tomorrow we'll send out those Explorer registration forms. Remember, please turn them in by the 23rd. And again, if you have questions, let us know. Irina, anything you want to add?
I think you covered everything. That was perfect. Thank you so much. And we'll see everybody later this afternoon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.